You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 70, The Problem with Supplements. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, my friend. How are you today? Welcome to another episode. You are so fantastic for being here. Can you believe that it's November? Did you have a good Halloween? Did you die at the crossroads last week? I hope so. Is it helpful to you to see the power of excluding things, even good things, from your precious attention? When you give your effort to the one thing that you've carefully chosen, you can be so much more effective by not bouncing around to all of the other things that also sound good, by letting good things die in favor of something truly great. Today, we're going to talk about problems with supplements. If you've been around here very long, you know that I love supplements. I was recently on a podcast called Performance RX, being interviewed about supplements with my friend Bridget. She's awesome. Go check her out. I'll put a link in the show notes. But I love supplements so much that I think we ended up talking for like 2 hours because I couldn't stop talking about them. So it was a really long episode. I take gobs of supplements myself, and I think that they're fascinating and fun to learn about and truly, truly helpful. That being said, it's unfortunately not a perfect world, and there are some problems to take into account in order to get the most out of your supplements. As always, I hope these few minutes of your time are helpful to you as you make decisions about what you want to put in your body to keep running it in top gear without the need for a bunch of pharmaceuticals for many, many years to come. It is absolutely possible to maintain strength and energy as you age, but relying on luck is not a good strategy. You can design a doable personal plan that will create the results that matter to you, and I'd love to help set you up for decades of success. Having a financial plan for your retirement years is essential and brings you clarity and peace of mind. You would never head into retirement with no forethought whatsoever and just hope some money will appear when you need it. You should also have a physiological plan for your retirement years. You have a huge impact on how your cells are going to function 20 or 30 years from now. You can choose to have the energy that you need to have the experiences that you want to have decades in the future. I'd love to help you do that. I know this world is a better place when awesome people like you are firing on all cylinders. Okay, so back to supplements. Off the top of my head, I came up with 6 main potential problems with taking supplements. Let's quickly go through each one so that you can sidestep that problem and get the most out of whatever supplements you choose to or not to take. The first one is that there are so many supplements, so many companies, and so many claims being thrown around about what supplements can do. Free market and free speech and competition are good, but there are so many promises being made and miracles being claimed by the use of supplements. Some of them are straight up lies by unscrupulous people out to make a buck. Lots of them are exaggerations or promises that what helped one person will have miraculous effects in all people. A lot of what is pushed is that natural cures or remedies are inherently safer than mainstream medications. That's not true. There are plenty of very harmful natural products. Think hemlock, botulism toxin, and rattlesnake venom. I also think it's important to distinguish in your mind true dietary supplements meant to add to the nutrients you get from your diet from what might be called dietary supplements but are actually remedies, like things intended to treat conditions. There are limits to the claims that supplement companies are allowed to put on their products, which I think is a good thing, but that's why the bottle will usually say silly things like, helps support healthy cholesterol levels that are already in the normal range, or something. Which isn't to say that all of their unofficial propaganda not actually printed on the bottles would communicate something different to you. So be wary of amazing claims being made by any supplement company. One of the things my dad always told me as a kid was, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's a good lens to look at supplements through. Definitely look up what research shows rather than just believing what someone says, especially someone who's trying to sell you something, because people say all kinds of things. And consider whether the reason it might work for you is because you're missing something in your diet or modern lifestyle, and replacing it will give your body what it needs to function optimally. That's what I would think of as a supplement. Or if they're just claiming that this thing is some kind of newly discovered super secret miracle that they're benevolent enough to let you in on. That smacks of snake oil to me. I know you're smart and already know not to believe everything you hear, but you also have to reconcile what has been shown to be true with what the companies are allowed to claim about their product, because the language they have to use is kind of dumb. Rather than focusing on the claim of what the supplement is supposed to do for you, the problem that it will supposedly solve, consider the mechanism of action. Does fish oil naturally convert to specialized pro-resolving mediators in your body via an enzymatic conversion? And providing the specialized pro-resolving mediators directly provides more direct benefit? It does, by the way. Okay, cool, that makes sense. Or someone claiming that their product mirrors the ecdysteroid hormone lobsters produce to get skinny enough to wiggle out of their shells. That's a real claim from a supposedly slimming lotion that says it makes you shrink like a lobster. Shockingly, it didn't work. The second problem is that the supplement market is largely not standardized. I mean, there are some regulations, obviously, but it's a little bit like the Wild West. I actually don't think that more government regulation would make it any better. Maybe it's unfortunate that you have to be the one to determine whether you're buying a quality product, but that's the reality. And getting the government involved wouldn't be better. The FDA has the authority to do assays and make sure that what's on the label is actually in the product, and to make sure that there aren't any harmful substances in there. But they rarely do. I've heard reports of supplements being tested and having grass clippings in there instead of herbs, or men's health supplements having sildenafil, which is Viagra, or red yeast rice supplements actually having lovastatin in there, which is a prescription cholesterol medication. There are, unfortunately, unscrupulous companies who don't care about hurting people. They'll usually sell whatever is trending at the moment, so that's a way to be watchful of them. Whenever you're considering buying a new supplement, think about whether you want to take that supplement, that chemical entity, and also what company you're going to buy it from. Avoiding any fly-by-night opportunistic companies if you can. Find that product from a manufacturer you already know and trust. It sounds like a pain in the butt, but it's really not. Once you know a couple or a handful of good supplement brands, you can just stick with those guys, and it actually makes it a little bit easier. Reducing decision fatigue is a good thing. You can go to fda.gov and search for the supplement brand to see if it's had any legal action taken against it. It doesn't show quality, but whether they've gotten in legal trouble. Reputable companies have been around for a long time, and they care about the quality of their products, so they engage in rigorous quality control. They usually have a third-party lab verify them so that they can show that they're held to high standards. Good companies test for the presence of heavy metals. Those can be contaminants, or some herbs, especially hemp, tend to efficiently extract heavy metals from the soil, so that's a big problem in CBD supplements. Some supplements have aflatoxins from mold. If it's an herb, the company needs to know whether it's the stem or the leaf or the flower or the seed that has the active component, and use the right part. Their extraction method is very important. Some companies use industrial solvents that are bad for your body to extract the active ingredients. Some use heat when heat destroys what they're trying to extract. Some processes make it so that substance can't be absorbed by our intestines or is destroyed by room temperature storage, humidity, or stomach acid. Basically, they really need to know what they're doing. Hey there! I wanted to quickly interrupt and let you know that it's so much less of a struggle to consistently dominate your health choices when the thoughts you think naturally nudge you toward what you're trying to achieve. If you're looking to more consistently rock your healthy behaviors, I have a completely free 18-minute mini course for smart women like you who know that sometimes a quick mind flip can go a long way. Click the link in the show notes or go to healthcourage.ck/page/mini for this free mini course on 6 thoughts people who consistently rock their health choices think, and start putting one of them to good use inside your head today. There are a few certifications you can look for on labels. They're not foolproof, but they're something that can be helpful. They're optional additional steps companies can voluntarily go through to prove that they care about quality. They do cost the company money, so that can be a barrier and potential problem, but they're a sign that the company cares about demonstrating that they make quality items. One is CGMP, Current Good Manufacturing Practices. This is the easiest one to get. Another is USP Verified. That's the United States Pharmacopoeia. That's a pretty good mark of quality. So is NSF Certified. That actually stands for National Sanitation Foundation, which I think is hilarious. It sounds like a company that should be inspecting porta potties or something, but it's a good and difficult certification to get. The NSF standards are quite high. There's another good one that's pretty uncommon called TGA, or Therapeutic Goods Administration, which is an Australian company. You also want to buy supplements from somewhere where you're sure they're not counterfeit. That happens all the time on Amazon and eBay and stuff, I'm sure you know, and you want to buy them from someone who has stored them correctly and not for too long. Most supplements need to be in temperature, humidity, and light-controlled environments. If you want a quick and easy cheat sheet of supplement brands that I like and trust and from which I buy my own supplements, I have a free list that you can grab at healthcourage.ck.page/brands. No www, just healthcourage.ck.page/brands, or you can just click the link in the show notes. Obviously, it's not comprehensive, but I've done a ton of legwork of vetting these companies, and I think it's an excellent place to start and will make it way easier for you to choose who to buy from. A third problem with supplements is bias. Some people are biased towards supplements and think all of them are good and all pharmaceutical drugs are bad. That's not a healthy way to think. I just listened to the book Educated by Tara Westover. Have you read it? There were some crazy stories in there that go way beyond just bias against conventional medicine, like insane. Most medical people are biased against supplements. They think people are being duped by the supplement industry and wasting their money creating expensive pee. They say there isn't any evidence, and if any of these supplements were actually any good, there would be proof that they work. Without getting too conspiratorial, there are mountains of evidence for nutritional medicine. But far and away, almost all study results magically show results in favor of whoever funded them. Drug studies show benefit when funded by the drug companies. Several drug companies have actually funded studies on supplements, and lo and behold, the supplements were shown ineffective. Imagine that. Also, a lot of nutritional research is funded by Coca-Cola or General Mills or Kraft. So imagine what those studies show. Anyhow, we want knowledge and wisdom, but when you're learning from people, consider whether they're biased towards supplements or against them. We want to listen to both sides because neither is entirely right or entirely wrong, but they'll both try to convince you that they are. A fourth problem can be the ability to evaluate the cost. I absolutely do think of well-chosen supplements as an investment, but an investment is only good if the ROI, return on investment, is good. All stocks are not good investments, and neither are all supplements. Imagine if you and your next-door neighbor both bought the same stock at the same price and they got a 30% return and you lost all your money. That would be ridiculous. But some supplements that do amazing things for someone else will do nothing for you because they're not what your body is deficient in. You don't want to spend your money adding more of something that you don't need. I know lab testing can be an additional cost, but it can actually save you money in the long run by making sure you're taking what you actually need. I love looking at that stuff, and I know a lot of nuances about it. I'd love to help you figure out what your body needs to function optimally for the long haul. It'll save you way more money than just the cost of supplements. It can save you from having to go down the road of medical tests and treatments and medications and procedures in the future. It can prevent entire disease states and change the path of your life. I'm trying not to sound too melodramatic about it, but it is true. Click the link in the show notes or go to my website, healthcouragecollective.com, to get on the interest list and finally understand what your unique body needs to thrive for years to come. In addition to lab testing, it's worth your time to pay attention to how you feel. I know it can be a little hard to tell, but if you're taking a supplement for a specific reason, see if you can tell whether you feel different after a while. That can be invaluable data too. Do you have less bloating when you take a certain probiotic? Do you sleep better when you take magnesium glycinate at bedtime? Do you feel less sore when you take specialized pro-resolving mediators? You won't be able to feel your vitamin D level or omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, so labs are invaluable there, but there is a lot that you can feel, so tune into the subtleties and adjust your spending accordingly. Okay, fifth. So numbers 5 and 6 are near and dear to my heart, and what I personally believe are the two biggest problems with taking supplements. Yes, there are issues with unscrupulous companies and companies using cheap ingredients that are not bioavailable or adding polyethylene glycol, FD&C Red 40, or some other harmful excipients. So don't ignore that stuff. But if you can avoid these two issues, you'll be so far ahead of almost everyone else and be totally not normal in the best way possible. Merriam-Webster defines a supplement as something that makes an addition. It's something added on to the main thing. This is really important because as much as I love supplements, they're an addition. They're not what's going to change your health. Getting the perfect supplement regime, fun and important as it is not the main thing. I can get pulled into that way of thinking sometimes too. It's easy to start thinking that because it's complicated and nuanced and requires personalization and expertise, that a perfect set of supplements is what we should focus on. But it's not. It's just something we can add to what we really need to be focusing on. It's so easy to overlook the basics, but the fundamentals are fundamental for a reason. Author and world-class leadership coach Robin Sharma has an awesome definition of greatness. Greatness looks different depending on what you want to be great at, but he says that greatness is always consistency on the fundamentals. Okay, that's your new definition of greatness. Consistency on the fundamentals. Your fundamentals are different if you're a singer versus a lawyer versus a mother versus a TikTok influencer, but you are as great as you are consistent on the fundamentals. That also means if you want great health, you have to be consistent on your health fundamentals. It's so easy to hear about getting 8 hours of sleep at night and go, yeah, but what about apple cider vinegar? But when you get real and granular about your fundamentals, like becoming semi-obsessed with the basics, everything else starts to naturally fall into place. There's a great story about Kobe Bryant. I don't want to take up too much of your time with it, but the gist of it is that he attributed his being the best player in the game to the fact that he never got bored with the fundamentals. He relentlessly ran himself through basic footwork and ball handling drills because he knew that amateurs think the basics are something you move beyond, and professionals know that to be the best, you double down on the fundamentals. You'll get so much more leverage by focusing on mastering the fundamentals than on mastering your supplement list. Once your foundation is solid, you can add supplements on top and watch the magic happen. I consider your health fundamentals to be eating, moving, sleeping, and breathing appropriately. All right, number 6 has a special place in my heart. One of the absolute biggest problems with supplements, in my opinion, is our mindset. That sounds kind of stupid, but we're so deeply entrenched in our Western medical model that we don't even realize that almost everyone is using their culturally installed perspective to incorrectly evaluate supplement use. Like, we all know that the double-blind placebo-controlled trial is the gold standard for determining efficacy. You make one tiny change, control every other possible variable, and evaluate the effects of that singular intervention. One procedure, one therapy, one chemical entity to treat one specific problem. Sounds nice, but our bodies are far too complex for that to actually be the case, especially with nutritional supplements. Magnesium is required for 300 different chemical processes in the body. It doesn't have a singular effect. If you increase your zinc level, your copper level will go down. Some people have too much copper, and that's a good thing. Some people will develop a copper deficiency, and that's a bad thing. When your vitamin D levels are low and your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio is out of whack, your cell's hormone receptors don't work correctly, so you won't get the same effect from the same hormone prescription as someone else. No changes, especially nutritional changes, are really made in isolation. Everything affects everything else. We crave that kind of cut and dry precision. We've been led to believe it is the case, but it just doesn't play out with either supplements or drugs. We need to be more holistic with our nutrient corrections, but providing your body with what it needs to function at a biochemically high level is absolutely possible. There are definitely nutrients that get depleted from living in our toxic world and compounds that we run low on as a consequence of aging. There's so much we can do with supplements. It's fascinating and exciting, but beware of anyone who says that they have the singular answer and definitively know that one supplement will have one effect in everybody. I roll my eyes when I hear that a study has proven that vitamin C doesn't help with COVID or fish oil doesn't improve memory or whatever. First of all, it needs to be reported as what dosage form, what dose, what brand, and what kind of people. But overall, trying to go one for one supplement for one condition in everyone is almost never going to work. But having a systematic plan totally works. If you haven't heard of Dr. Dale Bredesen before, he is super awesome. He's a neurologist who can prevent, halt, and even reverse the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Most doctors and neurologists still say that's not possible, but he's been doing it very successfully for like 10 or 20 years. He uses a multi-step system that he has named RECODE, and it's brilliant. I'd encourage you to learn more about it. He has a book called The End of Alzheimer's, or let me know if you want me to give you the Cliff Notes version. I'd be happy to do that. The point is, I think we can all follow a personalized plan similar to the RECODE system that will restore us to optimal health no matter what diagnosis label we might have been given for our lack of optimal functioning. There are some universal factors that we can all be looking at and optimizing regardless of what symptoms might be manifesting or medical labels we've been given. It's actually pretty exciting that we have so much leverage. We just can't think of one supplement as the cure for one disease in every person. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you're more prepared to avoid some of the common problems with supplements so that you can get more out of them. If you're ready to figure out what you can do to set yourself up for optimal functioning for years to come, get on my interest list. I'd love to help you stay disease and medication free. And don't forget to go grab your free list of supplement brands that you can trust so that you're using quality products that actually work and getting the return on your investment that you're hoping for. Find that link in the show notes. Next week, we're going to talk about power posturing. Until then, get the most out of your supplements and don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.